and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mr. Croco?
Here.
Mr. Valentine?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Allred? Here. Mrs. Kathy? Hanson? Absence. Approval of agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented. Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those that disapprove? Unanimous vote. Approve agenda. Okay, community announcements. We have one by the board. Ariel, can you step up here and accept this award, please? I think this is from the AAA award.
Triple
AAA. Thanks for your training.
Congratulations.
Training
I'm sure you
program,
worked
yeah.
hard, and thanks for your hard work. Thank you.
Absolutely.
On behalf of the district and the community.
So, yes. If it pleases the board, Ariel is just an absolute rock star in the way she is building the ops staff here. Now, there's rock stars all over staff at this place, and it makes it really easy to sit in my chair because they do all the work. Ariel stands out, and her work showed out absolutely impeccably Friday, where many of you may not know this, but we lost an aircraft airplane. So fortunately, no injuries, but the aircraft ground looped at the end of 2-6, went off the runway, nosed up, and pilot egressed. But the response was well crafted and well executed, and that's largely Ariel's hard work. So it goes beyond getting a little award from AAA, although that's appropriate recognition.
Is it triple E or triple O?
AAA.
Triple O. Oh, you.
Triple
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariel. Having that type of confidence in staff. We don't like any incidents, but when we do, it's got to be comforting to know that, hey, we got staff that they know what they're doing and they're going to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Do we have any comments this time? Okay, let's move on to consent agenda. It's recommended, let's see, we got minutes of regular board meeting, check registry, resolution, declare certain property surplus.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A, B, and C. I'll second.
Second, we have a second. All those in favor? Oh, wait.
Aye.
Oh, is there any account? I got to ask for comments first. Any comments? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those disapprove? None. Motion carries. Let's move to action items. Audit. BHK.
Yeah, good afternoon. I know it feels like we just finished the audit, but we are starting to ramp up as we close out this year to engage the auditors for the upcoming year. As of right now, we asked for an engagement letter from BHK. They've completed the last 2 years, so this would be the third year. As of right now, it doesn't look like we need a single audit for that for the FAA because we haven't hit the threshold, the 750,000. So they just done the engagement letter for just our typical annual audit. So as of right now, we're asking the board to approve the engagement letter not to exceed 39,000 for BHK.
Did that go up from last year?
It did, $3,000. I mean, it will depend on just how many hours that they put on the audit.
So is that the actual amount, or are they going to do us hourly billing up to?
They bill, yeah, it's an up to, 39,000.
Okay, well, with the way you get that organized, it should be up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if only, yeah. No, they do anticipate it being, they usually are pretty close and it's anywhere from 30
They're
to
auditors.
39. Yeah, they're auditors, yeah.
Let's see.
Will this be the last year we use them?
Typically, we've talked about 5 years
5,
is what
okay.
we've, the earmark.
because you had another company involved in this?
Yeah.
On this?
Yeah, we've used a couple different firms, but in the past, when we've worked with it, we've talked 5 years is where we've kind of switched, just based on our past.
Okay, so we're making a decision on BHK then, right? For
Yeah,
the next upcoming year.
ultimately, the board hires the auditors. They report back to you.
Make the motion to do the BHK auditors for the year 24-25.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comments.
Oh, public comments. Everything was going so smooth. All right, so where were we?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those disapprove? We have a unanimous vote. Motion
Thank you.
carried. All right, B, resolution of certificate of acceptance.
If I may, members of the board, we won 2 bids at tax auction. So growing Mojave by a factor of a little over 7.5 acres. And we are offering this forward to the board for issuance of a certificate of acceptance.
So moved.
Any public comment?
One vote, second.
No. Okay, so
What acreage got added?
What was it, 7.2 acres?
One parcel
Oh,
is
is it-
6.5 acres, one partner parcel is 5.13 acres.
Where are they? I was just curious.
So Floyd, as I recall, these are off the southwest area of the property.
They are due east of the airport. It would be southeast of the approach end of
Southeast.
26.
Okay.
One
Nothing.
is existing airport property and one doesn't, right?
One is an island. It does not touch airport property. The other is contacts other parcels that we have
That we
purchased in the past, but it does not touch our fenced
Our
boundary.
fence boundaries. Okay.
thanks, Floyd. All right, we have a motion.
Jimmy motioned and I'll second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Opposition? Motion carries. Reports.
Good afternoon. These are the financials for month March of 2025. Bank balance decreased $96,000. Operating revenue, we're at 77%. Operating expenses, we're at 70%. Fuel sales, 108,000 gallons. AR, as of right now, it's just High Desert Wireless. They did send us a small payment of $50, so still slowly getting there, but we're getting closer. Dragon Aviation did come off based on them giving back the hangar and obtaining the property. Fitness centers at 723 members.
There was a number on the fitness center, trying to find it, but that was probably for the purchase of some equipment.
The equipment,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
I saw that, it was kind of stood out.
Yes, and it was, so we had revenue that we had built up. So then the equipment that we had budgeted for,
Yeah.
rather than us write them a check for the equipment, we utilized the revenue that had, so we took no money from our cash. We utilized the revenue that we had.
Okay.
Yeah. Anthony, any questions?
Yeah, I don't see it right now, but I was looking earlier and the delinquent payments, there was an additional line item other than wireless. What are those numbers?
Oh,
You probably need a little explanation on that 3060, I'm guessing how that works.
I'll find it now.
The over 90 is typically,
Oh, no, this is aged AR as of 4/30.
Oh, okay.
What does that mean?
that's actually the total accounts. So that's, for everybody. So
Oh,
that's the
okay.
ones that would be, the only ones we really report on, the line items, are anybody over 90 days. Because those are the ones that the board would take action on. So this is, these are all the funds that are coming to us. So this
Okay.
is outstanding, aging. So this is outstanding.
Yeah, Jim, that's real typical, but I see where when you see it, what, you know, 300,000.
Right.
Whatever the number is. But that's very typical. It's just how the flow
Yeah.
of money comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's reported, but we're not concerned. That usually is
Yeah,
typical.
the line items usually will break out the customers that we're concerned about so that we bring it to the board's attention. On these are potential issues that will come up in the coming board meetings.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And good job.
yeah, yeah. We're getting there. $50 at a time, but.
25 minutes. 13.
Yeah.
Ariel? You're on.
I'll just talk to us. Tell us what's going on. Oh, I wouldn't mind just hearing a little bit. The circumstances that led up to it. And
What kind of aircraft?
Yes, so the aircraft was a Champion Decathlon, November 538 Echo Echo was visiting Mojave on Friday doing touch and goes on the airfield. We did pull some weather information. They were landing runway 26. Wind was 190 at 3 with gusting 10, same direction. So there was a slight crosswind. It is a tail dragging aircraft. So we do preliminary investigation think that there was a ground loop effect. Unfortunately, the aircraft did lose some stability, had some uncontrolled yawing, and did roll slightly onto its left wing, pilot's left wing, as the aircraft was coming to rest. The teams here did a phenomenal job. My boss will tell you, I was actually not supposed to be here. I was supposed to be going on a trip that day. But they did call me in. There was an activation of a crash phone, quick response from our fire department, and quick response from our operations team as well. We had our debrief about 2 hours ago with fire, safety, and our air traffic control tower, as well as operations, and Dr. Smith joined us as well. And we did find some critical improvements that we think would assist the airport in responding to these types of aircraft accidents. We got very lucky with this one. The NTSB did not want to investigate it. They deemed it as pilot error and not being able to control the aircraft when they suffered that challenge in maneuvering upon landing. And fortunately, there were no injuries at all. There was also no damage to the airfield. So the NTSB did release the aircraft quickly. However, internally, we did see that there are some changes that we need to make. And we can train ad nauseum, we can read books until we're blue in the face, but there are lessons that we only learn by actually working aircraft accidents, and knock on everything that is sacred and holy here. Fortunately, we do not have that experience often. So we will be making some internal changes. I do have a report to write to bring all of those concepts together to better facilitate emergency response and tightening up not just our communications, but how we respond to scenes, and then how do we treat and respect the scenes once we get there.
Was it an out of the area pilot?
Yes, he is from Van Nuys.
Practicing crosswind landing people?
I don't think he intended cross.
Well, I mean, when is it? Oh,
Touch and goes. Touch and goes, yes.
yeah.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
So one of those changes that Ariel talked about, my experience at military aerodromes is if we lose an aircraft, the tower controller will close the airfield immediately. And that way response, everybody has access to everything they need to do. Ops then will rapidly undo that as they determine the safety of the airfield will support it. So this sets us up for success regardless of what the emergency is.
Yeah.
And if we have to send a 172 on a go around, I'm sorry, they can log a low approach.
I had an airport do that to me, kind of rural. And it put me in an emergency situation because I had less than an hour of fuel and the next airport was an hour away. So Anyway, I got about halfway there to turn.
In this case, we
But-
were
but-
able to reopen
We're smart.
parts of the airfield within minutes.
Yeah.
I have a question. Eric Schwartz, Star Launch. I noticed the NOTAM was issued right away. It looked like it was noticed for 12 hours. Is that a default or is that, who determined that? Closing runway.
I don't know if you heard the response. That was a default.
Yeah, so the NOTAMs are issued for 12 hours upon default because we never really know what the NTSB is going to do. Where the aircraft landed, it was in the safety areas of both 26 and 30. So we immediately issue the notifications out. We go with the default NOTAM manager recommendation, which is the 12 hours. That allows us to contact the powers that be, send them the photographs and see if they will either release the wreckage so we can clear the airfield and get it back opened, or if they want to come out and investigate the scene as is. For this one, we did have debris on runway 30, so there would also have to factor in the time to be able to clean that runway and make it safe and usable for air travel.
Okay, copy all. Thanks.
All right. Oh, boy.
Good afternoon. Just a few facility updates, a few items. It's that time of year again. It's always that time of year. We actually just finished a mowing campaign about a month ago, and it's time to start over. The recent rains have really boosted the weed production around here. We see areas that are popping up, and we're trying to address those as necessary. We've got staff working in the GA area today, working
Can I ask a
between.
question about that, just out of curiosity?
Sure.
A while back, we were burning areas, and I assume that was to kill the seeds.
Right, we were aggressively pursuing a anti-bird campaign.
Okay, for the birds,
The
okay.
birds.
Does that help with the weed abatement? Not really?
It does not. It
Okay.
actually tends to make it a little bit worse.
Okay, I was just curious, it's the time to go.
Yeah, it grows back with a fury after that.
Yeah, fertilizer.
So just a general, awareness that it's going to be a bad year in spite of the lack of rain, and we're on top of it. GA area is happening this week. We've also been, Ricky Livesey, Raul Robles have done a phenomenal job over in the, no one sees them. They're hidden behind the,
I saw them today.
you saw them today. Great. I appreciate that. They are back behind the oleanders on Belshaw, cleaning out the property boundary. They've thinned out a lot. I think at least 40 yards, maybe more of debris and trash and dead oleanders that we pulled out of there. So they're going to continue that. And as I said, we're working in GA area and everywhere on the airport with the airfield being next priority. A couple of weeks ago, we had a sewer lateral failure at building 31, and staff, with really little input from me, were able to replace 280 feet of 4-inch DWV for building 31. Robert Lathrop, Mike Dimitra, Mike Lazar, Ricky Livesey again, did a phenomenal job. I had the tenant back up and running within, I would say, less than a week.
Is that due to old lines of cast iron?
It was due to old lines. It was not a cast iron line. It was an ABS line.
Oh.
It had a really bad belly in it, probably from when it was installed, and it just backed up so much it couldn't push, and it backed up into the building, and they responded
Yeah.
quickly. And unfortunately, we had to shut them off for a week, but within a week they had them back up and running.
That's great. That
Building-
they're able to take care of it like that without.
I would like to give them a little bit of credit. I was off. I was on vacation. My daughter was visiting from Michigan.
Mhm.
I was not here. They called one time, said, "This is what's happening. What do you want us to do?" And I never heard from them again until it was working.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, credit goes to two places here. It goes to the people who executed that because they took it upon themselves to do the right thing and to execute mission. But it also goes directly to Floyd because yes, he may not have been here to make that call, but he built that team.
Yeah.
And he inspired that ability in these people to go ahead and show some initiative and get it done.
Mhm.
Appreciate that. We are also completing a EV parking or EV charger installation and accessible parking upgrade at Building 1. The EV charger is in. That's kudos also to Logan Altman and Elijah Gutierrez. They did that installation. Parking lot sealing and striping takes place on Monday. So by Tuesday or Wednesday, that parking lot will be open back up with a new level 3 charger. And we also installed some infrastructure to do additional EV charging down there if we decide to. The runway 1-2 reels, we've suffered for admittedly years now trying to solve a synchronization problem with the reels on 1-2. We've exhausted every idea that the manufacturer and any consultant that we were able to call has been able to. Any feedback they've given us, we've tried it. Nothing seems to work. They synchronize for a while and then they go out of sync.
For the public, reels are?
Runway end identifier lights. So those are the flashing lights.
I know what they are.
For the public, they're the flashing lights on
Yeah.
either side. So Pro Channel 1-2, I did order those lights a few weeks back. They're when you order from ADB, they don't have them on the shelf. They build them. They're built. They'll be shipping the week of June 13th. And as soon as we get those in, we will get a plan together and get them installed. The other thing that I have is just as an awareness, our district landscaping contract. So we contract with Sharper Landscaping in Cal City to do our public areas, our Legacy Park, the ball field, gate guardians in front of this building. And their contract expires at the end of May and they have opted not to renew it. So we will be, Alma has been working on soliciting bids from other landscape companies. We will advertise to solicit bids. In the meantime, we do have a plan in place to use maintenance staff to take care of those areas. So just an awareness that we're negotiating, or we will be hopefully negotiating a new contract. And in the meantime, staff will be taking that workload on. And on that note, my last item, and I assure you that David and Ariel and I did not get together on this and say, let's make this meeting all about recognizing staff. I just had the thought that I'd like to bring some of my staff up. We've got new faces here. We've got new board members. And I'm not very good about recognizing them. I tend to keep my head down and try to work, and I forget to give them kudos. So I brought 2 members of the staff with me. I'd like to do this every meeting that I report in. I'll bring a couple other members of staff up just so that we can put some faces to names.
Thank you. I see them, but it'd be nice to know what I mean.
Well, not everybody does. We've got returning board members. We have new board members. And some people talk to Alma on the phone and they've never met Alma. Or I may talk about some of these people in my report and you don't know who I'm talking about. So for the next few meetings, I'm going to bring a couple of people up and introduce them.
Great.
We'll start with Alma. And this was in no particular order. It's coincidentally starting with Alma and Armando. It's not alphabetical order. Armando was unlucky enough to be in the office when I told Alma, hey, I want you to come to the meeting. Alma Del Rio has been with us since July of 2019. She actually started as an administrative assistant, and I quickly realized I could just keep tasking her more. And she is now our maintenance lead, basically our supervisor for the landside area. The janitorial staff reports to Alma. Alma takes care of all of our work order assignments, scheduling, procurement. She's got a sign on her desk that says this girl can, and she can. You need something figured out.
Yeah.
Alma can figure it out. I joke that I'm responsible for the department, but Alma runs it. I mean, it's kind of not a joke. She knows where everything is. So if you call the direct line, it's Alma that answers. If you submit a work order, it's Alma that will respond to it.
And Armando is...
Armando Quintero, did I say that right, Armando? Yeah. We call him Mondo. Mondo's been with us 2 years, just about 2 years, almost to the date, since April of 2023. Comes from healthcare background. He did maintenance for a hospital. I'm not trying to speak for them, but I want them to hear what I think about them too.
Sure.
Mondo is a go-to guy. A couple of months ago, this office, this room changed colors. All the Picture frames were updated, lights were fixed, updated. Mondo pretty much did that single-handed. And he did a very similar thing. There was some additional help in David's office, but David was on travel and his office was looking pretty bad, and Mondo went in there with a little bit of help, and David commented that I don't think that my pictures moved a quarter of an inch. His attention to detail is that great. He's kind of a go-to. Anything we need, if we can't figure it out, call Mondo, he'll figure it out. And I never have to tell him after a job's done that I don't like the way it is, or that didn't come out how I wanted. I tell him one time, and the next time I look at it, it's exactly what we talked about. So,
Good.
with that, subject to your questions for myself or the staff, that's all I have.
Thank you for introducing your staff.
Yeah.
The idea of continuing that is.
I'll bring a couple of members with me every meeting until you see them all.
Thank you. 'Cause
Yeah,
so many
good job.
times I've happened where I can talk, who are you? I mean, tell me something about you. And,
Yeah.
So if I could brag on the work they did in my office. So the story I was given was I needed a new external door because my external door was not an external door. It was an interior door. And it didn't meet a bunch of standards for external doors, in particular on a full block. So walking into my office, just about to go on a temporary assignment at one of these conferences, and here Armando is taking pictures of all the things on the walls. And I thought, he must really like some of the stuff I've done in there. He's taking pictures of it all. Well, far be it from me to fully understand that, he was just documenting everything so that when he finished painting, he'd make certain everything went up in the exact same spot. And other than the fact that the color of the room changed and the door now closes and locks every time I pull it shut, which it used to not do. Nothing, I mean, everything is
pretty good. I go from memory. I mean,
it is really impressive.
So is it better or worse than what I did figure out this year?
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. There's a story far too long. Maybe this story probably warrants an adult beverage and not a board meeting session, but somehow it involved pink flamingos and tablecloths. And yeah, there's a backstory there.
Lloyd, quick question about the landscaping contract. Have we thought about just hiring a couple full-time landscapers? And
We have, and
looked at the price, what it would cost us compared to a contract?
we went through that exercise last time.
Okay.
The contract was competitive enough that it didn't pencil out.
You might not find that this time.
That was going to be my next statement, that may be the avenue that we follow this time.
Okay.
Dr. Smith, you're on.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. Got no updates on the hangars. Probably something I do, it's a hot button of mine, is working with schools and school kids out here. And when I get a call from a junior ROTC deck commander in the local area, I miss Huckleberry. And that's work for Ariel and her staff, and it's work for facilities, and it's work for Lynn. Because all these things take effort from everybody across the board. But I think they're super valuable. It builds our community contacts. It cements what we are as a special district. And it really embraces a workforce of tomorrow. So we had 2 junior ROTC tours, one from Highland High, one from Night High, that are still raving. Their detachment commander, Colonel Hernandez, was with me Monday evening and just could not sing highly enough the praises of Mojave Air and Spaceport. The large tour, the Highland tour, I could not be here for. I was with Current Economic Development Council in Bakersfield. But still, they did, again, staff just knocked it out of the park. And the kids from Highland High, according to their commander, are still just raving about it, saying it's the best tour they ever went on in their ROTC experience. So I expect to see more of those, but it's not just about ROTC, it's about interface with the schools. So we've had meetings with the junior, senior high school leadership here, the principal and other members, talking about different ways we can work creatively to raise the tide and lift all the ships in this community. Similarly, the meetings with the school district and their leadership, and meetings with East Kearns superintendent of schools. So looking at ways that we can continue to grow our interface with them. The career day we do here is huge. In the region, they see that as an extremely important event, but that's just one example. I want to get to the point where we can institutionalize our support to the schools on a day-to-day basis. That really is, we're in the flight test world and we're building an aviation future for tomorrow. This is the future workforce. So we're growing them as well. HydroStore is an interesting example. Very large, very well-funded enterprise that's going to come to East Kern, planning to come to East Kern. They had another public meeting and hearing that I attended. I believe that the jobs they're going to bring to East Kern will be good for us. The economic improvement in the region will do nothing but benefit us as Mojave Air and Spaceport. It's a fascinating bit of science. I'll give you the very, very Reader's Digest wave tops because I'll be the first to say, even though I hold a doctorate degree and an aero degree, I don't fully understand this. What it boils down to is this is a mechanical battery. It's a really deep hole in the ground that moves water up and down, releasing energy that is stored during the day in solar panels and function. So one of the problems with solar energy is it doesn't work very well at night. And storage, when you're talking about entire cities, is very challenging. So this becomes the mechanical battery that will store all that power during the day, lifts all the water up when the solar panels are working, and then allows energy to be released at night to powerhouses throughout the Antelope Valley. We're talking about funding in the B billions out here for this enterprise and hundreds of jobs.
Where they're going to build it at?
Off of Nash, north of Roseman, and then they interconnect directly to the grid out there in that substation west of Roseman. Me and my Cardinal heading through something right now. But anyhow, very impressive operation. The Energy Commission has requested use of Stu Witt Center to have a public hearing regarding HydroStore. I'm very supportive of that. Frankly, I believe they would be willing to pay the bill, but as they are also a community entity, I intend to come to the board after we appropriately put this on the agenda and request approval to waive the fee for Stu Witt for them as they are, like I said, a public entity. Family Day at Strato Launch was a bit confounded because Ariel decided to have an airplane crash off the end of the runway. But I will tell you, it was a fabulous event. And the fact that our major mission partners like Strato Launch reach out to us, I think says something about our working relationship together. Strato was featured today in a lengthy internet piece carried by Google and MSN that talks about the absolute essential combat nature of the Talon system that they're working on. Now, I'm a little sad that I read that backwards, forwards, and sideways, and I didn't see Mojave Air and Spaceport printed in it, but it was a remarkably powerful article about the work they're doing. And their Family Day was wonderful. It just ties together this community more and more. We do need to come to you with a monetary change. You previously approved Cal State University LA's UAS competition, about $1,000 to keep the tower open. It looks like we're going to need the tower open 2 days for that competition, so it'll about double that. So I believe that's under my purview to approve. But with that said, since the board had approved one figure, wanted to make sure I had been free too. And Subject to your questions, that's my report this session.
The final one there, that's the UAV contest, right?
You're gonna change to 2 days?
2 days, we'll need the tower manned.
Okay.
What we approved was a $500 cost impact.
I believe it was 1,000.
It was 1,000 if the tower were to stay open for the full 10 hours a day for both 2 days, it would be up to $3,750. We don't anticipate the tower being open for the full 20 hours. The plane, the speed, scheduling, we anticipate it will be much less. The final highest number would be 30,000. And that's in the event we do have to use all 20 hours of the tower to get.
Does this require fire or anything to be available?
Fire will be available.
Fire will be available, but it's the normal staffing
Okay,
Right.
that we would.
so that's really the only impact financially, well, more like that was.
Correct.
Well,
And I believe there will be additional fiscal impact, but not on the negative side. Again, this is an opportunity to grow business. UAS is the way of the future. It is surprising how many of these small collegiate programs wind up turning into major systems. So we set ourselves up for success there. And we're doing considerable UAS work here now. And I see that only growing.
How are our controllers, I don't know if this is not the right word, but respond to, how do they like that? Because it's new and different. It's a lot of controllers will never have any experience with UAS or, so is it something they embrace or they kind of whine about or?
It's
Different.
challenging. I'll defer to Ariel since she works with the controllers directly. My perspective is what I have seen is they like the fact that we are in the 2508 complex. And this goes back to my prior duties.
Yeah.
Some of these systems, especially out of prior duties, required chase when they operated on the small buffer between the Class D and the 2508. And frankly, the controllers would have liked in that environment that we do something that has been done at Grand Forks, which is employ a ground basins and avoid radar system, which will allow positive control of UASs from surface to operational.
So on the other side, when the controllers appreciate it, because it's overtime, so they get those overtime dollars. But with the UAS side, so the UAS in Mojave is not uncommon, however, it is infrequent. So when you have controllers that are used to working GA traffic with an occasional business jet here and there, when we have operations that do involve UAS coming out of Scale Composites, Northrop Grumman, whatever the project may be, typically it takes them a minute to switch, and then we have to go through a full briefing to fully understand the project. With competitions like this, the intent of the competition is for the college students to design an entirely new system or a new aircraft or implement new ideas. So that lends very well to the experimental aspect of what we do at Mojave. So it's almost like, I don't want to say crash course, that feels jinxing, but shortened course on how to handle UAS, how we do it in our airspace, and being able to provide the controllers with that training. So when one of our anchor companies here at Mojave want to do a new program, they can also draw back from that experience of working UAS operations into an open airport environment. And also they get the money, so they're happy for that.
They operate from the center of our runways out here. That's where they take off or they're controlled there.
Yes, they are controlled. So what we do with the controllers, and we work through this and we play with briefings and scenarios and models prior to the event, is they have a 10-mile view of the airport. So what is within our 10-mile scope, and then what's within our class delta itself, that 4.3 nautical mile radius. Each flight is about 90 seconds to less than 2 minutes long. So we build in those flight approvals when there's nothing within that bubble that may interfere with operations here at Mojave. And so that is why we want the tower to be open for that, because they can ensure that the area is clear, the drone can do its flight, and we also have time built in there in case there is an event that, hey, we have a wayward drone or we have a lost link that we need to troubleshoot before we allow manned aircraft to land here.
And these flights are directly over.
Those are within the triangle that's formed by the 3 runways, and we bring them in. So the Alpha 2226 triangle there, and it doesn't interfere with runway 30. We do that in the event that, like I said, we have a lost link, it lands within that space and isn't going into our primary runway. And then if the winds do favor it, we try to divert all traffic over to runway 30, especially for our smaller crafts that can exit Charlie. It just adds in a little layer of safety.
That's just so interesting to me because this new industry is growing. I mean, this is the very, very, not the bottom, but it's getting up. And it's going to be integrated more and more to where we may be the source. How do you do it? How do you integrate it? I mean, I know this has been worked on for over 10 years ago within the airspace system, the bigger stuff that's going to be flying, but it's still cool.
So to brag on staff again a little more today, since I think that's the topic du jour.
B-Day.
I can say confidently and professionally that our integration of UAS here is better than the integration of UAS at Edwards. And I agree with you totally that we are the right place to do this.
Sure.
Because we do flight tests here. And we do that flight test very creatively. And I'm not impugning Edwards. I'm saying that to some extent, their hands are tied by federal oversight and government regulation, where our concept of permission granted gets things done.
Right.
Not unsafely, not unprofessionally, not illegally, but appropriately. We figure out how to get the yes and allow these businesses to exploit this unique environment.
That's part of our uniqueness is just that. I always kind of think with the right amount of government, you need a little bit to do things.
We ease up the bureaucracy.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
We do. And we embrace it, which is even more about obviously rocket engine testing. I'm sure many of the airport crews go, oh no, we don't want that or it can blow us. We don't know.
It can.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I'm excited.
Thank you, I am too.
All right.
Subject to your questions.
I have no comments.
Talking about hangar update, or it's been a while, but we had one potential investor kind of shy away because
So
I deal with utilities underground that were a bit of an unknown. But
So
are you making any progress in that?
he called today and he asked for a lunch with me Thursday. I'm going to go ahead and meet up with him in Tehachapi. He's come here a lot. I thought it'd be appropriate to go to him. And he did not bring up hangars. He just said, hey, why don't we get together and talk? So I want to pursue that. My understanding from our last meeting with Mr. Knapp on these is he was concerned about really understanding the utilities and really understanding that. But his big driver was he was simply having trouble at the end of the day actually penciling out, will GA hangars pay for themselves? And it really is a challenge.
Well, it's a great question.
Yeah, I mean,
Because most places it doesn't.
right.
Not what it costs right now and what somebody's willing to pay for a hangar.
So up at Truckee Tahoe on the site visit, and by the way, thank you to the board for that. That was super valuable because they're also a special district. Very different business model up there, but that doesn't mean we can't learn from it. It's not valuable. So their airport general manager's words were, we have tried forever to figure out how to put in more GA hangars. It simply doesn't pencil out. Now they're funded very differently than us. They get part of the tax base. And it's considerable because the nature of their traffic is almost all executive. He did say executive jet hangars, they pencil out. No problem. People will pay money for that. But a hangar, especially when you've got an established rate of say $250 a month for a small GA, very hard to have that. At the end of the day, Floyd's numbers, and I agree with them. Yes, you can look at a metal box that's a hanger that you can buy for about 20 to 30 grand. But at the end of the day, when you put utilities in it and you put a foundation under it and you site it appropriately and you deconflict it and it may be taxiways or rig, at the end of the day, it's a 6-figure purchase. And
For
at
us.
right, and at $250 a month, that's a little challenging as far as a rate of return. So I don't have much news for you, but hopefully by the next meeting, since I will be meeting with him Thursday.
Well, the answer's easy. We just need to get more than 6 jets up there.
Yeah. Well, and frankly,
I mean, that, yeah. And then
frankly,
it creates another
the
issue.
local equity is, I think that's the business market they're going after. They're not off the table. We just haven't had any movement with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, that may still come to pass. And Mr. Natch's proposal that he actually kind of condominiumize them so that he owns that group of hangars, that takes them out of Lynn's bailiwick of her inventory.
Yeah.
So now he's a different enterprise. He can charge what he wants for his hangars. So maybe there he would have the income revenue generation stream to allow it to pencil out.
That would help both of us.
Oh, it'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, then.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. Board comments,
Committee,
committees? No committees. Actually, if I was wrong, so
you should have. We're not going to go right here.
all right, then we have to go to closed session.
May I ask the board if we could have Lloyd stay and take item 7C first in order?
Recording stopped.